Hello everyone, in this video, disasters such as climate change, forest fire and flooding are discussed. Whatever is written in this document is now coming true. I have had this document since 1999 and now I am sharing it with you. Comet's tail. The tail of the giant comet as it travels out in space meets almost no resistance, is composed of the debris attracted to trail after the comet, not only from the days when the comet formed, but as it travels, picking up stragglers in space attracted to its gravitational pull. The tail has dust, gases, stones, boulders, and moons, depending on the size and composition of the entourage at any given point. Nothing much affects these out in space on the long arc. The 12th planet makes it zooms away from Earth and float into the darkness of outer space. All this changes when the comet enters your solar system. The solar system wins a bombardment of radiation your eye cannot see except as light. Pushes the tail outward away from the sun. Thus, the comet's tail sweeps the earth. Dust, gases, stones, and boulders all what if they affect. The comet's moons hug close so do not come in range. But all else is a massive onslaught on the Earth's atmosphere. Meteor or falling stars are not unknown to mankind, who can see them nightly if they preserve in their nightly watch. These flaming strikes represent a burning meteor heated by friction and set afire by the Earth's oxygen mantle. But what if there were no oxygen? During the comet's passage, there is such an onslaught to the Earth's atmosphere that the available oxygen in places completely consumed heated gas in the comet's tail, form petrochemicals, which when falling through the atmosphere burst into flame, a sheet of flame falling to earth. This does more than burn every living thing in land zone. It consumes the oxygen. What has been reported by the author Walewski is that the mastodon has been found frozen in the Siberian tundra grass between its teeth. In perfect tough frozen condition as that they simply stopped breathing. They did without oxygen. The blackness of unconsciousness descends quickly. When the available oxygen is consumed in the upper atmosphere, any meteor falling to earth have less resistance. The tail of the comet is composed of lighter material toward the tip as any heavier substance. That far from the great comet's gravitational influences are drawn in other direction at one point or another. Thus the gases and dust curve toward the earth and are first noticeable as a fine red iron dust, turning the water a bitter blood red. Does the dust not burn in the available oxygen and as so many tiny flying star species? This dust, already oxygenated, does not burn as the comet approaches for its loop around the sun. The next notice is of fine gravel, dropping in places like hailstones. Why does this not burn, as meteors regularly do? Some do, but their member overwhelms the Earth defenses the majority, not igniting at all. By this time, the Earth's upper atmosphere is tearing away, dispelling the space and no longer snug as a mantle around the Earth. Now comes an oxygenal boulder falling without resistance on the hapless Earth. Those who would escape the wicked leak of this tale are advised to take shelter against cliff in caves, in valley or under metal roofs. Its passage is swift, a matter of days, and the ending abrupt. Firestorms. The catalysts come with geological upheaval, volcanic eruption, some part of the earth heating up fiery temperature, and in some cases firestorms from the sky. Firestorms are caused by reaction of atmospheric gases to the turmoil going on. Petrocarbon are in essence created due to the flash of lightning and intense heat due to passage over open volcanoes. And these petrocarbons rain down a fire at times. With the atmosphere scattered chemicals in the comet's tail, similar to your petrol chemicals, do not flash in quick consummation into water and carbon dioxide, but descend close of the surface of the earth before bursting into flame. A firestorm killing all beneath all this has been reported in ancient times. As humans observed accompanied to the catalysm, this type of activity sets forests afire where vegetation regrows from trees and roots. Many areas will nevertheless denuded of vegetation for some time. Pole shift. When the giant comet positioning itself exactly between the Earth and its Sun, things change. The Earth then has its greatest advocate for its previous alignment. The Sun and its magnetic alignment negated. The Earth hears only the magnetic voice of the giant comet, so to speak, which sounds between the Earth and its former magnetic commander, the Sun. You are aware that your Earth is heavier at its molten core, which is rumored to be composed primarily of iron. This is not entirely untrue, but regardless of the composition, the Earth's core is more sensitive to the magnetic alignment than the crust. The core grips the crust and is not as liquid as one might think. There is friction. There is the tendency for the wall to move as one despite their differing magnetic allegiances. The pole shift is in fact a movement of the interior of the Earth, the core to come into alignment with the giant comet. The 12th planet, due to massive size in comparison to the Earth, dominate the magnetic scene, and it's in this regard that gravity comes into the pole shift equation. The Earth's crust resists aligning with the giant comet, being caught in a web of magnetic pulls from its immediate neighborhood. Worse, the Earth's crust wants to stay with the old and established magnetic pull, while the core of the Earth, having less allegiance and attachment to the neighborhood, listens to the new voice. There is a great deal of tension that builds between the crust of the Earth and the core of the Earth. This tension is released when the core of the Earth breaks, when the crust and the moves. However, the core of the Earth drags the crust when it has its turn to align anew. The pole shift is therefore sudden, taking place in what seems to be minutes to humans involved in the drama, but takes the better part of an hour. There are stages between which the human spectator in shock are numb. At first there is a vibration of sort of jiggling as the crust separates at various places from the core. Then there is a slide where the crust is dragged over minute to a new location along with the core. During the slide, tidal waves move over the earth along the coastline as the water is not attached and can move independently. The water tends to stay where it is. The crust moving under it essentially when the core finds itself aligned in chunks about somewhat settling both the crust more solid and motion process on. This is the fact where mountain building and massive and earthquake occur just as a crash to their damage on the point of impact when motion must stop. Weak spots among the earth crustal plates give way. The Pacific Ocean will shorten and the Atlantic widen. Subducting plates will subduct greatly. Mountain occur suddenly, primarily increasing in area already undergoing mountain building. Although the better part of an hour, but at certain stage only minutes. Plants survive as they are rooted and their seeds are everywhere, and animals, including men, survive because they travel with no moving plate of the earth and experience no more severe shock when the plate stops moving than they would during a Richter 9 earthquake. mountain building occur when the plates stop moving. The stoppage is not simply a sudden jolt, like a car hitting a brick wall at its motion, and the stoppage is more like a car hitting a barrier of sand filled plastic barrel, a series of small jolts occurring in quick succession. At this time, we estimate that the giant comet will come to within 14 million miles of the Earth. The strength of its magnetic field and that distance will be such that the comet's North Pole angling essentially in the same direction as the Earth's North Pole force the Earth's North Pole to evade the pressure the comet its larger brother by swing of Brazil. This alignment will not change if the distance between the sibling planets changes, but the speed and vigor of the shift will be so affected by a closer passage. The height of the tidal waves and consequent inland inundation will be affected. The heat of the land masses above subducting plates, where the friction can cause the ground to melt, will be so affected, and the violence of shifting winds will certainly so be affected. Millennium denial. The Earth will go through physical catalysm in the near future. This is related to the millennium, but is not precisely what the Bible or Nostradamus or the various seers of this time are predicting. There is truth in the rumor of what is called the 12th planet, a giant comet. There is truth in what has been reported about violent geological changes, renting continents apart and having mountains high. The large occurred during the just such a time. Forces are in these times. The earth crust slides over the soft molten core. The crust pulled in one direction and the core, which is more magnetically inclined in another such a time of violent geological upheaval impending for Earthling. There will be much death. Most of the people on Earth at this time will be unaware. They may be aware of drought, of the reddish glow during the heat of the day, perhaps even a reddish dust coloring the water and giving a bitter taste their drinking water. Most of the people on Earth have so many problems existing day to day that they will scarcely take notice. Even those who might take notice can scarce do anything about it. Can a man who can barely feed his family take flight? What would they live on? Should they even manage to get to a safe place? And what would such a safe place to be? This is an unknown experience. There is no precedence in memory. Denial is high. The authorities will not encourage the propagation of information, wishing calm and for the status quo to continue. Even where there is awareness, there will be little action. Many will look about them and debate their lifestyle should take action, leave the home, the comfort of familiar place and people who represent support structure. How would they live? Should they be forced to become beggars? They may stay in their own familiar surrounding. Then there are those who will cling to their material goods, even with choice, where a place will be made for them in safer surrounding. They will find they are bonded to their material goods and unable to divorce them whatever the risk. They will be with their material items, clinging to these things as lower face it, must face it with this grim choice will deal with a station by denial. Between the unaware of unfortunate and the reluctant lie most of humanity, those who survive the massive earthquake which will leave level cities to dust and the massive tidal waves which will inundate coastlines for hundreds of miles inland will be either fortunate or assisted since the earth as is to become a home for service to other entities. Those humans operating in this orientation will have a choice to remain in their human form and reincarnate later. If the human form is chosen, then this human will assist the hours of calamities. They will be unaware of the assist but will find themselves clinging to floating material after the flood has passed. Regaining consciousness after the earthquake, many will move to safe area, set up commune operating in the service of other mode of the future. These areas will be rural, essentially primitive, and they will not rely on civilization as they now know in either before or after catalysm. Devastated cities. The stories about Atlantis, which has never been found, are supported by myth that great cities destroyed suddenly by rising water. Well, that of course happened extensively all over the world. Every time there is a pole shift, cities on the main are established on coastlines and broad rivers, where fish and transportation can abound. When the massive tidal waves slosh back and forth, these cities do slip under rising water and are utterly decimated. These cities are destroyed completely. Buildings that remain are not repaired, as there are no hands to do so. They crumble under the weather. Stones corroding and covered by blowing volcanic dust and eventually rooting plant and the land endless rain have made the volcanic dust into inviting soil. On mainland China there are remains of ancient civilization and the stories of their past glory seems to exceed peasantry of today. Was there a great civilization that fell? The Hubble of all continents during the pole shift, the devastating is so great. The cities essentially are bright to dust. China of the past was in keeping with the Chinese people, who are intelligent and diligent, but their developing was no more impressive than what they have today. Of course, there are places where today there is but village, the inhabitant of which can scarce do more than tend to their fields for survival, and if there are traces that indicate a great city once stood nearby, one could postulate that mankind failed. However, after the pole shift, the few survivors regularly migrate, constantly seeking to escape the gloom and constant rainfall, which is everywhere. Of course, the survivors disappeared, they went elsewhere. Climate changes. The pole shift, of course, radically affect climate of every place on Earth. How could this not? The equator has changed and formerly temperate, and even polar areas now find themselves under the hot, continuous equatorial sun. Inhabitants of this area may find themselves subject to severe sunburn for the first time in their lives and not understanding the phenomena, not know what to do. Other inhabitants formerly in the equator will quickly freeze to death. The temperature plunged unremittingly and they are ill prepared. Thus is all told a relatively benign death. As the hypothermic body becomes a dreamy and seemingly falls asleep, few areas will find the climate remaining the same. By coincidence, having the same relative latitude as before. Over time, the plants and animals change. Accommodating the climate change, plants in particular are hard hit and they are sensitive to the temperature, humidity, exposure, and wind. The die of a massive but certain other opportunities survive. Over time, there is a creep that occurs such that from the places where the climate has remained the same, plants grow outward toward where they find conditions hospitable. The opportunities who took over, preempting all the strugglers, find they are being pushed steadily to assume their former status. Animals being mobile are less hard hit and either adjusted their day and night to the new condition or travel. After a time, a few centuries, the earth looks much as it did before. Only this time, with imposed a new equator and newly established temperature zone. All of these activities modulated at first by the gloom caused by volcanic dust. Strong sunlight occur only occasionally in certain locations. In the main, there is dust ever present dust. Where there is vegetation die, but this is caused in fact more by the lack of sunshine than the any climatic changes. Animal life is impacted by the lack of food to more than climatic changes. However, after a couple decades, the skies clear and then the climatic changes are the stronger determining. Countdown signs. Many humans will read our warning and wish to heed them, but they are unable to take leave of their station in their life for many valid reasons. Perhaps they care for those sick and injured, or oversee projects important to the welfare of men, or have children in school, or whatever. We are not speaking here of those who will not live their luxurious and convenience, or who enjoy the station in life that fits their sense of power. We are speaking of those who must wait until the last minute before moving to safety, as their absence will have effect those depending on them, or move will harm in the short term those depending on activities or services best provided in their present locale. Many humans operating fully in the service to other orientation. When we are here speaking to our found in just such a catch-22, as they often dedicate their lives to others. The Polship will not take anyone by surprise, given the plethora of undeniable signs. Thus, something momentous is around the corner, such an increasing earthquake and volcanic eruption, interrupt, drought, and inexplicable downpour, and most telling of all, an increasing slowing of the Earth's rotation, nevertheless the exact moment, day or week, to disrupt everyone's schedule and head for the hills or farm seems difficult to determine. Are there countdown signs that can be used as a guide? There are indeed. The most dramatic sign will be slowing rotation, where at the present time this rate is enough to cause an occasional fraction of a second per year of adjustment to the world clock. This will soon change. This increasing slowdown will get diminishing press coverage. The clocks are quietly adjusted behind the scenes, and the public allow it to believe their clocks must be running fast, but there will be a point in time, a few days ahead of when rotation stops, when this will get blatantly obvious, when the one wakes up in the morning finding in the dark outside rather than a breaking down. Yet the clocks in the house and the entire neighborhood confirm that is the end of the morning hour. This is the countdown sign. Rotation will completely stop in a day or so, which such a dawn followed by an evening where the sun seems reluctant to set setting hours later than usual, and then rotation stops completely. A second countdown sign is a fine red dust, unmistakable as it cannot be confused with any other natural occurrence. Ponds and rivers turn red, the blood color mentioned in the Bible's book of Revelation, with this iron or dust giving the water a brackish taste. This countdown sign comes almost in step with the rapid slowing in rotation, as the 12th planet must be between the Earth and the Sun for the trash in the tail to the sweeping the Earth. Again, the occurs a day or so before rotation stops. The travel will become difficult, if not impossible, once it does. We're coming late for primitive people. Without mechanical clocks, there is a third countdown sign that can be scarcely ignored. The Earth moves during the rotation, slowing and stopping, a sound not heard by humans except during earthquake. Here the morning chronic essentially continues as thought under a stress it cannot relieve with an earthquake, yet cannot bear in silence. For those who question the accuracy of their mechanical clocks, and who may have missed the presence of red dust due living indoors, this morning of the earth is equivalent to the clanging of the fire marshal's bell. Here it comes, ready or not.